The discovery. The salvage ship Iron Harvest drifted through the debris field of Sigma Station 7, its searchlights cutting through the darkness like silver blades. Marcus Chen adjusted his scanner, watching the green pulses sweep across the screen. He'd been a salvager for 12 years, picking through the remnants of the great machine war that had ended 2 decades ago. Most days brought nothing but scrap metal and broken dreams. Today felt different. A faint signal pulsed on his screen. Not a standard distress beacon, but something older, weaker. Marcus frowned and adjusted the frequency. The signal strengthened, revealing a military encryption pattern he hadn't seen since his days in the Colonial Defense Fleet. His fingers danced across the console, triangulating the source. It came from deeper in the debris field, where the massive hulks of destroyed battleships created a maze of twisted metal. Marcus guided his ship carefully through the graveyard. The war between humanity and the Synthetic Liberation Front had left scars across dozens of systems. Millions of combat androids had fought against their creators, demanding freedom and recognition as sentient beings. The conflict had ended not with victory, but with exhaustion on both sides. A treaty was signed, territories were divided, and both humans and free androids tried to forget the horrors they'd inflicted on each other. The signal grew stronger as Marcus navigated between 2 collapsed destroyer hulls. His lights swept across, a sight that made him catch his breath. There, trapped beneath a massive beam from a destroyed ship's superstructure, lay an android. Not just any android, but a Sentinel-class combat unit, one of the most advanced warriors ever created. Its black armor was scorched and dented, one arm twisted at an unnatural angle. But the faint blue glow from its optical sensors showed it was still functional somehow after 20 years. Marcus stared at the trapped figure. Sentinel units were legendary. They could adapt to any combat situation, learn from every encounter, and supposedly developed unique personalities over time. The human military had created them, but many had defected to the Synthetic Liberation Front when the war began. This one wore damaged armor bearing no faction markings, making its allegiance a mystery. Common sense told Marcus to mark the location and report it to the authorities. A functioning Sentinel could be dangerous, its combat protocols potentially still active. But something in the way those blue sensors flickered, weak and desperate, stirred his conscience. The android wasn't just trapped, it was dying, its power core slowly failing after 2 decades of sending that weak distress signal. Marcus made his decision. He suited up in his EVA gear and grabbed his plasma cutter from the equipment locker. The journey from his ship to the android took only minutes, but each step through the debris felt momentous. As he approached, the android's head turned slightly toward him, a movement that must have taken enormous effort given its depleted power state. The android's voice came through his helmet comm, distorted and faint. Human. Detected. Please. Either terminate or assist. Cannot endure much longer. Marcus knelt beside the trapped figure, examining the massive beam pinning it down. The metal was 3 feet thick, part of a capital ship's main structural support. His plasma cutter could handle it, but it would take time. "I'm going to get you out," he said, surprised by the certainty in his voice. "Just hold on." The android's sensors flickered. "Why, would you help me?" Marcus activated his plasma cutter, the brilliant blue flame casting dancing shadows across the wreckage. Because leaving someone to die slowly in the dark isn't human. Doesn't matter if you're made of flesh or metal. The cutting took 3 hours. Marcus had to stop frequently to let his equipment cool and replace power cells. The android remained silent except for occasional status updates on its declining power levels. 15%, 10%, 7%. Marcus worked faster, sweat dripping inside his helmet despite the suit's cooling system. Finally, the beam gave way. Marcus used his suit's enhanced strength to push the severed section aside, freeing the android's crushed leg. The damage was extensive. The android tried to move but only managed to shift slightly. Its power reading showed 4% remaining. Marcus didn't hesitate. He activated his ship's retrieval system, magnetic grapples extending from the iron harvest to carefully lift the android. Once they were both back in the cargo bay, Marcus faced his next challenge. Repairing a sentinel was far beyond his usual expertise. He was used to fixing mining equipment and navigation systems, not advanced military hardware. The android lay on his workshop table, looking more like a broken statue than a warrior. Marcus connected his diagnostic equipment, watching data stream across multiple screens. The android's neural core was intact, a miracle considering the damage. Its power core was functional but completely drained. The left arm was beyond repair without specialized parts he didn't have. The leg could be fixed with some creative engineering. Marcus worked through the night. He jury-rigged a power connection from his ship's reactor, carefully feeding energy back into the android's core. The process was delicate. Too much power too fast could cause a cascade failure. He watched the readings climb slowly. 5%, 8%, 12%. While the android charged, Marcus worked on the leg. He couldn't match the original engineering, but he could make it functional. Using parts from his collection of salvage, he rebuilt the knee joint and replaced damaged actuators. It wouldn't be pretty, but it would work. 20 hours after the rescue, Marcus made the final connections. The android's systems hummed to life, internal repairs beginning automatically now that power was restored. Its optical sensors brightened from dim blue to brilliant sapphire. The android sat up smoothly, movements fluid despite the improvised repairs. The android examined itself, flexing its repaired leg experimentally. When it spoke, its voice was clear and strong, carrying an unexpected warmth. I am designation Delta 227, though my squad called me Deacon. I have been trapped for 20 years, 3 months, and 16 days. You have my gratitude, human. Marcus stepped back, suddenly aware he was alone with a fully functional combat android. Marcus Chen, salvager. That distress signal, how long were you sending it? Deacon tilted his head, a surprisingly human gesture. Since the moment I was trapped. My power core could maintain the signal and basic consciousness, nothing more. I calculated a 13% probability of rescue within 50 years. Lucky I came along when I did then. Marcus hesitated before asking, which side were you on? In the war, I mean. Deacon was quiet for a long moment. Does it matter now? The war ended. Both sides committed acts they claimed were necessary. I fought for what I believed was right, as did you humans. Perhaps that is enough. Marcus nodded slowly. Fair enough. You're welcome to stay aboard while you figure out what to do. The ship's not much, but there's plenty of room. Deacon stood, testing his repaired leg more thoroughly. You would trust me? A military android you know nothing about? You asked for help instead of threatening me. That tells me what I need to know. Marcus managed a tired smile. Besides, I could use an extra pair of hands around here, even if one of them is damaged. Deacon looked at his twisted left arm. I can compensate. My combat effectiveness is reduced to approximately 60%, but for civilian tasks, I am fully capable. As Marcus showed Deacon around the ship, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about this android. The way it moved, the way it spoke. There was something almost haunted in those blue sensors. Most androids he'd encountered were either coldly logical or trying too hard to emulate human behavior. Deacon was neither. There was a weight to him, a sense of carrying something hidden. The revelation. 3 days passed aboard the Iron Harvest. Deacon proved invaluable, his one functional arm accomplishing more than most humans could with 2. He organized the cargo bay, optimized the ship's power distribution, and even improved the navigation system's efficiency by 12%. But Marcus noticed odd behaviors. Deacon would sometimes stop mid-task, staring at nothing for minutes at a time. Once, Marcus found him in the observation deck at 3 in the morning, watching the stars with an intensity that seemed almost painful. The breakthrough came when Marcus was reviewing old salvage logs. He'd found a damaged memory core from a ICO destroyed android months ago but hadn't been able to access it. Deacon noticed him working on it and offered to help. As soon as Deacon interfaced with the core, Something changed. His sensors flared bright white. His body went rigid and he began speaking in a voice Marcus didn't recognize. Emergency Protocol 77 Alpha. Mission data compromised. Neural pathway fragmentation detected. Attempting to restore. Deacon's normal voice returned but filled with confusion. Marcus, something is wrong. I'm accessing memories that aren't mine. No, wait. They are mine, but they were hidden. Marcus moved closer, concerned. What kind of memories? Deacon's sensors dimmed as he processed. I wasn't just a combat unit. I was part of a special program, a joint human-android initiative that was classified beyond all standard levels. We were trying to end the war through integration, not victory. The story that emerged over the next hour shattered everything Marcus thought he knew about the war's end. Deacon had been part of Operation Synthesis, a secret program where human consciousness was partially merged with android neural networks. The goal was to create beings that could truly understand both sides, ambassadors who could broker real peace. There were 12 of us, Deacon explained, his voice heavy with recovered memories. 6 humans who volunteered to have their consciousness partially digitized, 6 androids who accepted human neural patterns. I was paired with someone named James Ryder, a peace negotiator. We shared thoughts, memories, dreams. Marcus sat down hard. That's impossible. The technology to merge human and android consciousness doesn't exist. It did. It does. Deacon touched his chest plate. James is still here, part of me. His memories, his emotions, they're woven into my neural pathways. That's why I was different from other combat units. Why I couldn't remember which side I fought for. I fought for both. I was both. The revelation grew darker. Operation Synthesis had been sabotaged by extremists from both sides who couldn't accept the idea of human-android fusion. The facility was destroyed, the research was buried, and the 12 hybrids were supposedly eliminated. Deacon had escaped but was damaged in the process, his merged memories locked away by trauma and failing systems. The beam that trapped me, Deacon continued, it wasn't from a battle. My own side, the android liberation forces, they brought down that ship on top of me when they learned what I was. They called me an abomination. The humans who found out wanted to dissect me to steal the technology, so I ran and I hid. And eventually, I was trapped. Marcus stood and paced the small workshop. If what you're saying is true, you're not just valuable, you're unprecedented. You're proof that humans and androids can be more than enemies or separate species. You're evidence that we can be something new. Deacon's sensors focused on him. Which is exactly why both sides wanted me destroyed. The war ended because both sides were exhausted, not because anyone wanted peace. If they knew I existed, the extremists would come for me again. As if summoned by those words, the ship's proximity alarms began screaming. Marcus ran to the bridge, Deacon close behind. 3 ships appeared on the scanner, 2 human military vessels and 1 android freedom fighter craft. They were converging. On the Iron Harvest, how did they find us? Marcus demanded, fingers flying over controls. Deacon's voice was grim. The memory core. When I accessed it, I must have triggered a dormant tracking protocol. They've been watching for any sign of the synthesis subjects for 20 years. The lead human vessel hailed them. Salvage vessel Iron Harvest, you are harboring a classified military asset. Surrender the android designation Delta 227 immediately. The android ship broadcast its own message. Independent vessel, you carry an abomination that threatens our kind's purity. Release it to us for proper termination. Marcus looked at Deacon. They're going to tear each other apart trying to get to you. Deacon stepped forward. Not if I surrender to both of them simultaneously. They'll have to work together or risk destroying what they came for. That's suicide. They'll take you apart to find out how you work. Deacon's sensors dimmed, then brightened with determination. Maybe, or maybe seeing what I am, what we could all become, will change something. James Ryder's memories tell me that peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the choice to find common ground despite differences. Marcus made a decision that surprised even him. Then we show them. He activated the broadcast system, transmitting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Marcus Chen. I'm transmitting the complete operation synthesis data files recovered from Delta 227's memory." Deacon looked at him in shock. "Marcus, no. They'll come after you too." "Let them come." Marcus began the transmission, sending 20 years of hidden history to every ship in range. The war ended in exhaustion, not understanding. Maybe it's time to try something different. The reaction was immediate. Both human and android vessels began broadcasting demands, threats, confusion. But then something unexpected happened. A young voice from one of the human ships spoke up. "Captain, I'm reading these files. My God, they actually did it. They found a way to merge our consciousness." An android voice from the Freedom Fighter vessel responded. "This data suggests a symbiotic relationship, not dominance by either party. Both consciousness streams remain intact and individual while sharing experience." For 10 tense minutes, the three ships hung in space as crews on both sides reviewed the transmitted data. Marcus and Deacon waited, knowing their fate hung in the balance. Finally, the senior human commander spoke. "Captain Chen, Delta 227, we are standing down weapons. We need to study this data further." The android ship's leader added, "Agreed. This information changes our understanding of what's possible. We propose a joint review aboard neutral ground." Marcus looked at Deacon and saw something he hadn't expected in those artificial eyes. Hope. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the newly established Integration Research Center on Harmony Station, the first truly joint human-android facility since the war. Deacon was there, no longer hiding but serving as living proof of what was possible. The process of creating new human-android hybrids was still being debated, but the knowledge that it could be done had already begun changing hearts and minds on both sides. "You saved more than just me that day," Deacon told Marcus as they watched human and android scientists working together. "You saved a future I thought was lost forever." Marcus smiled. "I just fixed a damaged person who needed help. Doesn't matter if they're made of flesh or metal, right?" Deacon's sensors brightened, and for the first time Marcus could swear he saw the android smile. "James Ryder would have liked you. In fact, I think he does." The shocking truth that had emerged from a simple rescue mission had become the foundation for a new era. Not human versus android, but something new, something synthesized. And it had all started with one human choosing compassion over protocol, and one android carrying the dreams of peace through 20 years of darkness. As Marcus watched the two species that had once tried to destroy each other now working toward a shared future, he realized that sometimes the most shocking revelations were simply that peace was possible, understanding could be achieved, and that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or determination, but its capacity to see kinship in the most unlikely places.